All right, windows down. Let's drop the hammer on this thing. All right, guys, welcome back to Heavy Metal Horizons, cars, airplanes, and heavy metal. In today's video, we have an amazing car to check out. This is a 2015 Range Rover Limited Edition Supercharged in Santorini Black. This is only one of 250 made in this color. Now, we're gonna go over some specs here in just a second, but just generally, I think this vehicle here is kind of the pinnacle of luxury and capability. Now, I say that because these days there are a lot of cool kind of supercar SUVs. I think the Lamborghini Urus is a good example. And while they might be faster and more powerful by a little bit than something like this, they're not really going to be a capable off-road vehicle. In fact, some of these kind of supercar SUVs are not even four-wheel drive. Now, this Range Rover, of course, it has four-wheel drive as well as an active locking differential, dual-speed, low-range transfer gearbox, and electronic air suspension with adjustable ride height. Also, this particular model, being a higher-end version of the Range Rover, has a lot of additional luxury items like a leather and ebony wood interior, extra blacked-out trim pieces, special 22-inch wheels, and even a heated wood steering wheel. Okay, but enough about that. Let's take a look at the engine in this thing. All right, guys, so check this out. Under the hood here is a 5-liter dual overhead cam supercharged V8. This thing puts out 510 horsepower and 461 foot-pounds of torque. Now, it's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Of course, you can run that just as a regular automatic, or you can shift through the gears manually using the paddles on the steering wheel. Now, I know there's a plastic cover here, so we can't actually see too much of the guts of the engine, but what's interesting about this V8 is based off of the same V8 platform that's shared across Land Rover and Jaguar, and it dates back to the 90s when they first started bringing out supercharged V8s in the Land Rovers and also in the Jaguars, like in the XJR or the XKR. And over the years, they've steadily made improvements to the engine, and they've increased the displacement, and now they've got the power well over 500 horsepower. Okay, so the car's cool, it's got an amazing engine. Let's hop in and drive around and see what the driving experience is really like. So right off the bat here, one of the things I noticed when I'm driving this is how nice the ride is. But it's not like a cloud floaty sort of Cadillac ride, but it's a very it's the kind of ride that lets you know that you're very in control of the vehicle when you're driving. The suspension adapts not only to the road conditions, but also to sort of the way you drive. And so if you lean harder into the corners, if you take sharper turns, then this thing is going to firm up the suspension as you're going around those turns. Now, I'm driving in sport mode right now, which gives you a snappier throttle response, and it also adjusts the shift points in the transmission to give you more aggressive shifts, and also it shifts at a higher RPM. So if you're going for, a fast acceleration, if you're really pushing it, sport mode is definitely going to make a big difference in that. This is an SUV, of course, so you do have a lot of space, which is great. You've got 2 in the front, 3 in the back, and then you've got more cargo room in the back. I mean, this thing could probably hold 10 or maybe even 20 guitars if you pack them correctly in here. Even though this is a capable, very capable off-road vehicle, I think something you really have to keep in mind is this realistically something that you're going to want to get scratched up and banged up? Because if you really do take this out in the wilderness somewhere, I mean, you know, you're going to be going through brush and trees and so forth probably, and you're going to be scratching up the paint on the side. You're probably going to get a bunch of curb rash or the off-road equivalent of that on the wheels. So I think most people that have these cars, they want to keep them in good condition. And so I don't know if when you buy one of these, I mean, you have to have A, the money to buy it, and then either not care about keeping it in good condition or have the money to fix it when you mess it up. Now this car is a 2015, so at this point it's 4 or 5 years old. And I mean, the car's in great condition, and I think one thing that's cool about it is the quality of the interior seems to hold up really well. But when you're talking about a luxury car that's, you know, a few years old, you really have to mention the depreciation of a vehicle like this. Because I mean, that's a problem with most luxury cars, really. And Range Rover is no exception. I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this car, when it was brand new, $124,000 for this thing. I mean, there are places where you can buy a house for that much. And after just a few years, this is, you know, this is probably going to be like half or less than half the price of what it was when it was brand new. So, you know, obviously, when somebody buys something like this, or they buy one of these brand new, they might not be too concerned about resale value. I think when somebody buys one of these cars, they just want a really nice, brand new, top of the line vehicle, and that's what they're getting with this. But if you're going to buy it as an investment, it's probably, you know, probably not a good choice. You're probably much better off buying something vintage, you know, something much older. You know, even a, you know, Land Rover, an older Land Rover. I mean, that's going to depreciate a lot less than something brand new like this. I think the other issue with these modern Range Rovers and Land Rovers is that they are full of technology. They're full of features and so forth, which for your everyday driving is awesome. But again, if you're going to take this out somewhere into the wilderness, if you're really going to take this off-roading, then you have to think about what can go wrong with the car, and you are still going to be able to get home when you're out driving around. And this is, you know, with all the technology and everything that's in this car, this is not the kind of car you could just pull over on the side of a dirt road somewhere and fix it with a set of wrenches or something like that. You could do that with like an old Defender or something like that, but a car like this, it's not really realistic. I mean, you're going to need a laptop or a scan tool often just to figure out what's wrong with the car if something goes wrong. All that being said, I think you could find sort of a happy balance in terms of the usage for a car like this. I mean, this is the kind of car that it's got the power and the speed, it's there when you want it, but you don't necessarily have to use it that way all the time. And so it's still a car that you could take it camping, you could do some sort of light off-roading in it and not worry about screwing up the paint or anything like that. But even if you didn't even want to do that much, it's still a great car just to cruise around town in, and just, I mean, it's such a comfortable vehicle, such a great driving vehicle. Even if you're just going to use it for cruising around, it's hard really to find anything wrong with it. All right, windows down, let's drop the hammer on this thing. Woo! Okay, now I'm just borrowing this car for the video, so I can't thrash it around too much, but if you guys are curious to see just how this thing performs in true off-road conditions, including wading through some pretty deep water, I'm going to put a link in the video description where you can check that out. It's pretty crazy. All right guys, there it is, 2015 Range Rover Limited Edition Supercharged in Santorini Black. Beautiful, powerful, capable. I love driving it around. Of course, it's not mine. Did I mention these are kind of expensive? $124,000 for this when it's brand new. So it was fun for a day, but now I'm going to give it back because I don't want to scratch it. But what do you guys think? If you had the money, would you get something like this, or would you spend it on something else? As always, I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments section below. Now, as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.